So you already know a little bit about my background, intersection of mass media and public diplomacy. And so when my now husband and I moved to Fredericksburg in 2020 at the height of the pandemic, once things started opening again and I was looking forward to getting to know where we had moved to, I really approached getting to know Fredericksburg and become involved in the community through a lens of learning about culture and appreciating food and art and history. And technology played a vital role in doing that. So I'm going to provide an overview of some of the ways that I became engaged in Fredericksburg, and then kind of the implications for that for the Washington Heritage Museums and how technology can play a role in engaging newcomers to the Fredericksburg community, as well as people who have been here for a while, but it's an opportunity to see the city and community through new eyes. So, what is technology? Marshall McLuhan, who is a Canadian philosopher, prominent media theorist, said, "It is an article of dress without which we feel uncertain, unclad, and incomplete in our ever-connected global village." So technology is any tool really that engages us in community, that brings us from private citizens to active members who are eager to contribute and to learn from the environment. So I want to begin with a Traipse overview of the Traipse walking tour, and that had been on the previous Visit Fred website, which has been revamped in the rebranding to FXBG. I participated in several self-guided tours when I moved to the area, including the Presidential Fredericksburg Tour, the African American Heritage Walking Tour, which has since moved into merged into the Fredericksburg Civil Rights Trail as of June 2023. The John Washington Self-Guided Walking Tour, and then an overview of hidden gems and storefront stories, and that was launched by Heritage Media LLC, Scott Walker, who had done the previous speaker series last month. That's his company at Hallowed Ground Tours. And I also did a shout out to John Hennessy, retired chief historian of the Fredericksburg and Spotsylvania Military Park, because it was through both of their expertise as well as these well-curated and very accessible self-guided tours that I was able to understand more about the history of Fredericksburg's diversity, both in terms of its people as well as its history, at a time when many aspects of the community were still not open. I was able to take the initiative to do these tours on my own. And so I think that they're tools that really open up history and public engagement to people, regardless of what background you're coming from, and you can have a lot of discretion in how you want to go about that. And then these are some other tools that I used, and again, not what you would necessarily conventionally think of as technology, but again, I'm looking at this more broadly as what are tools to engage and connect. So for me, two of those groups were on the Fredericksburg, Virginia trails, the Taste of Fredericksburg Facebook groups. If you're not familiar with those groups, they're now both at approximately 26,000 members each. When I moved to the area, they were at about 15,000, and each of them have recommendations on different restaurants and cuisine throughout the region. On the Fredericksburg, Virginia Trail, people shared beautiful photos of the abundant nature and trails here in the Fredericksburg area. And through those groups, because again, my background was trying to connect history with food or nature, when you begin to kind of open your eyes to what's in the area and who's in the area, it's more opportunities to be able to learn about history through their eyes. Other local Facebook groups and event postings. So I saw the advertisements for the open houses, was able to participate in those. I served as a volunteer hostess for the candlelight tours 2 years in a row, and historic garden week. And then resources like the Chamber, the Fredericksburg Front Porch Magazine, Fredericksburg Guidebook, the Virginiana Room downstairs, was able to read about the different thought leaders who have contributed to Fredericksburg's culture today, and who were innovative in bringing up issues, whether it was around race or changes in architecture. It was interesting to be able to see kind of the chronology of Fredericksburg through newspapers and all these different books available. And then finally, murals, benches, historical markers, and dedications downtown. My involvement in the sister cities actually came from seeing the Frejus dedication, and then the bench near the Italian station, because it alerted me to the fact that Fredericksburg has sister cities. So and then the historical markers. I think that if you have open eyes and you're walking through town and you see these things, it can provoke curiosity to ask more questions and learn more about the resources that are available now and the traditions that have preceded us. Excuse me. So kind of taking this to a more macro level, some national trends for revitalizing tourism. Obviously, and Chuck were talking a little bit earlier about rebranding, and I think that that's something not unique to Fredericksburg. There are a lot of cities, small, medium, and large scale, that are reconsidering all of these questions and what is our identity? How do we want to present our identity moving forward? Following the COVID pandemic and all of the changes that has introduced to society and the way that we relate to ourselves and each other. So many common themes, which I have really witnessed firsthand here in Fredericksburg as well, is overcoming preconceptions. So, trying to revitalize history, not making it something stale and on a shelf, but living, breathing, and relevant to conversations moving forward. And this has included efforts to diversify voices in leadership. Fredericksburg has had the city has had the Diverse Voices series, and we see that through the Washington Heritage Museum as well. Now with the acquisition of the Caretaker's Cottage and Mary Washington Monument, it's a new opportunity to look through fresh eyes at the history of women's leadership in Fredericksburg. Again, changing identities, integrating history and modernity, storytelling, embracing global connections, so looking at how Fredericksburg is connected to beyond Fredericksburg in terms of the immigrant populations that have been here, that continue to be part of our cultural fabric. Assessing visitor and residential needs, so appealing both to people who live in Fredericksburg and have known this community their whole life, to those who are newcomers, or to people that are just visiting for a weekend, or for all of the wonderful attractions that we have here. And finally, balancing that with navigating concerns regarding overcrowding and housing costs and increased remote work opportunities, which again, Fredericksburg is a microcosm of all of those conversations going on throughout the area and the country. So I did a search for other innovative tourism apps within the United States based on my curiosity from trades. So GPS My City is more for, at this point in time, developed more for larger cities, but it's an opportunity where you can plug in your GPS coordinates and you will get recommendations for food, historical attractions, tours, walking trails within your vicinity. Museum is an app that is being increasingly used by different museums from the Boston Museum of Fine Art to across the country in Arizona, Seattle, and Texas as well. A museum that allows more digital engagement so that while people can pick up brochures in person, they can also engage with these apps in their own time or as they're walking through the grounds. Roadside America is geared towards people, traveling on major highways, and you can plug in again where you are and see what is in the area if you want to make, again, thinking about people who may want to stop by Fredericksburg as a weekend trip. They live in Richmond or DC. Stray Boots is somewhat similar along those lines. And then History Pin, and one more thing I should mention about Stray Boots, it's also geared towards corporate companies that want to create scavenger hunts. So to attract businesses in the area or businesses that are already here, they can engage with that app as a tool to have, if they want to do a day with their company to engage in local history or art, that's a way of getting involved. And then History Pin will look at a map in real time and then do an overlay of what has been there before. So you could look at, I was kind of thinking about the hidden gems and storefront tour in particular. That may be an interesting way of updating it for modern times to be able to look at, Caroline Street, for example, and see, what is there now and what has preceded it, just to kind of see the layered history and stories in real time. So, implications for the Washington Heritage Museum, just kind of synthesizing everything together, that the introduction should begin before anyone steps foot in the door of the museums, which I think, already doing an excellent job at that. Communication and engagement strategies should include broad and historic appeal. And by that I mean, I'm a history buff and nerd, so I will dig into those historical nitty-gritty details anytime. But to also appeal to people who maybe would not be interested in the history so much as a connection to food or art or more festive events, kind of thinking about different ways to pitch the museum to different audiences and interests. Again, that technology goes beyond social media. It's not just Facebook posts or Eventbrite, but also the reminders throughout town and in collaboration with local businesses that kind of remind people, keep the museum fresh and relevant in everyday conversation. Tools being in plain view, helping bring history to light, and also being part again of, I think that as soon as the museum is part of, regular conversation, again, people are more excited to engage, with treats on the streets, you see everyone out and about. I think that the more that history can be like that, the more we remember where we come from and take that moving forward. Inspiring a tourist mindset among locals. By that I mean just having that curiosity that whether you've been in Fredericksburg for 1 year or 10 years or have been here multiple, family has been here for multiple generations, that there's always something new to learn. There's always, you know, different people that you can meet, and it's a way to kind of maintain that curiosity and mystery. And finally, highlighting the regional and national significance for audiences outside of Fredericksburg. So especially with all of the innovations with Mary Washington, to think about how, you know, it's not just important to us here in Fredericksburg, but also, you know, regionally and nationally has tremendous significance. So to advertise that and share, not just in regular advertisements, but to share kind of the storytelling process of who is involved and its history in the making, and to be able to pitch that maybe to Virginia Living or Northern Virginia Magazine, some of the prominent Southern publications, as well as Mid-Atlantic. And that is it. Any questions?